presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Cardinals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. A beautiful night. We're on the banks of the Mississippi at Busch Stadium. Over 40,000 expected. It's the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals, Game 2 of their 3-game series. Jim Hayes is here. That's the Mad Hungarian Al Raboski. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jaime Garcia gets the call tonight for the Cardinals. And against the Cubs and some of their hitters, he's had pretty good success.
Absolutely right, Danny. Most of the guys in the heart of the lineup, he's had great success against them, and hopefully that will continue. You see just 4 hits and 42 plate appearances against Jaime, and all 4 hits were singles. So that should be a welcome note for tonight, as Jaime can go out there and control this very good Cubs ballpark.
And the Cardinals get the return of Aledmys Diaz back in the lineup. He'll play shortstop. Diaz back in the lineup for St. Louis. Does it jumpstart the Cardinals? We're about to find out. Game 2 is coming up. To the lineup tonight for St. Louis. He'll play shortstop and bat eighth. He has missed considerable time, but yet put up considerable numbers. Even with that time missed, he's in the top 7 of most offensive categories for the Cardinals this year. So Diaz in the lineup. He will face Jason Hamill. He's 14-8. On the other side, the lefty Jaime Garcia, 10-12. The Cardinals, the Cubs. First pitch next. The return of shortstop Aledmys Diaz to the starting lineup. Diaz will bat eighth and play shortstop. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Michelob Ultra, brewed for those who go the extra mile. By Chevrolet. Visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealer for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Look at Forest Park. It's a beautiful night for baseball. 85 degrees. Al Raboski, Jim Hayes. I'm Dan McLaughlin from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Dexter Fowler, the switch hitter, leads it off for Chicago, followed by Chris Bryant. Then Anthony Rizzo. Jorge Soler will bat cleanup. Ben Zobrist, the switch hitter, playing second base tonight. He was in left in game 1. Then Addison Russell, Jason Hayward, Wilson Contreras, and the pitcher batting ninth, Jason Hamill. It was a 2-run homer to extend the lead last night for the Chicago Cubs off the bat of Fowler. Outstanding leadoff man and their everyday center fielder. Jaime Garcia pitched Thursday night against the Brewers. He gave up 5 runs on 8 hits in just 3 2/3. His 4th consecutive loss. His record sits at 10-12 coming into this start tonight.
Dan has always pitched very well against the Cubs, a 2.27 ERA against them. But look out in the first inning. He's had problems this year in the first inning.
And the first pitch is taken for a ball. Andy Fletcher calling the balls and strikes. Kerwin Danley is at first base. Mark Reppinger is at second. The crew chief Joe West down at third. And the 1-0 pitch. Fowler, the numbers this year, 270. He's popped 11 home runs and he's driven in 42. It's an out of play. We noticed last night there was a crowd that was loud on both sides, both Chicago and the Cubby Blue in the stands.
Can you imagine if the Cubs win tonight? I think it would be one of the biggest and hottest tickets for Chicago. There might be as many fans outside the stadium that be in it.
The reason being the magic number sits at 3. So if they win tonight, win tomorrow, they win the NL Central.
And that should be enough incentive for the Cardinals to know that they have to win this game or tomorrow to avoid seeing that celebration on their home field.
Here's a 3-1. High fly ball into center. Grichuk going back at the wall, and it's gone. May have hit the top of the wall. Regardless, it's a leadoff home run and the 12th of the year for Dexter Fowler.
First hit for Fowler against Garcia, and it happens to be a home run. That broke an 0 for 10 against Jaime. Dead center field. Watching Grichuk, it looked like he thought he was going to have a shot at it. It would have been a difficult catch, but over the wall he has no play. The ball is getting up, and up over the middle of the plate. That really speaks volumes and trouble for Jaime. The 23rd home run he has hit, and it seems like he's given up about 2 home runs his last several starts.
Home run number 12 for Fowler. He drives in his 43rd. Here is Bryant, who had a double last night. 1-0 Chicago. And the 0-1 pitch to Chris Bryant. Ground ball hits softly to short. Diaz makes the play. Well, as Al mentioned, first innings have been an issue for Garcia. 29 starts, 24 runs allowed in the first inning.
And he's making his 29th start tonight. That is the most since back in 2011 when he had a career high 32. With all the injuries he has sustained over the years, and he's had 3 career threatening type injuries, and he's bounced back from them, but a lot more innings this year.
29 home runs for Anthony Rizzo, second on the team. He has driven in 98, and he's batting .291 on the season. Certainly an MVP candidate, Anthony Rizzo.
Hangs right over the plate, willing to be hit by a pitch, but defying pitchers to pitch him inside.
Out to right center, and the catch is made by Randal Grichuk for out number 2. Hyundai pitch arsenal on Garcia: the fastball, change, cutter, and curve.
And as we saw last night, it's all about changing speeds and making good location down in the zone.
Kyle Hendricks took a no-hitter into the 9th and lost it on an 0-2 pitch. Hit out of the ballpark off the bat of Hazelbaker. Here is Jorge Soler. .245 the average. He has 11 home runs, driven in 29 in limited duty this year.
He's hit over 300 against Cardinal pitching, and we have seen this guy very impressive. Still trying to find a spot to play, but he is a dangerous hitter.
Well, Mike Matheny certainly has to be pleased with his starters for the most part. Last time through, Martinez 7 innings. He'll go tomorrow. Wainwright 8. Weaver and Leake back-to-back 6-inning games. Pitch was left up and pulled foul for strike 2.
Yeah, the starting pitching has been very good, but the offense has been down a little bit. The club is so dependent on the home run, and only hit last night. Hazelbaker breaking up the no-hitter with a long ball.
Here's a 1-2.
There's a fastball there, but you can see you really don't want to throw strikes with your fastball with Soler. And try and get him out with off-speed pitches. That's what was a changeup that Hazelbaker hit out.
And the 1-2. It was interesting. Miguel Montero said after the game the one guy he was concerned about in breaking up the no-hitter was Hazelbaker. He said, we know he's got a little power, but we were more concerned about a bunt and his speed coming into play. The 2-2 pitch. That one
Got Yachty.
caught Yadier Molina last night. The 0-2 and a home run off the bat of Jeremy Hazelbaker to break up the no-hitter. His 12th of the year on that 0-2 pitch.
You know, Kyle Hendricks, who served that ball up, can't fault him for throwing a changeup. That's his best pitch. Just missed a little bit with his location and paid for it.
Here's a 2-2. Hazelbaker became only the 5th player in the 9th inning or later to break up a no-hitter. And he had been 1 for 25 on an 0-2 count this year.
The do factor.
Yep. 3-2 pitch. Soler is swing and a miss. First strikeout for Jaime Garcia as he allows the home run to Fowler. 1-0 after a half inning. Runs on 8 hits and 5 2/3 against the Brewers. 3rd time this season he's allowed 9 runs. All 3 times have been on the road. Struggles away from Wrigley Field. And Matt Carpenter, a late insertion into the lineup this afternoon to make sure his back was okay. So he was tested. He's ready to go. He'll lead it off, followed by Grichuk, then Piscotty, Adams, Molina, Peralta, Moss, Diaz, and Jaime Garcia. At home, his ERA is 1.77. On the road, it's close to 6.
Right, he's 9-1 at home with that great ERA. Second best in baseball, but second best on his team. And on the road, like you said, 5-7, 5.26 ERA. He's had 3 bad games. He said 1 in Colorado, 1 against the Mets, and then his last start against Milwaukee.
0-1 pitch to Carpenter, tied him up, and it's 0-2.
And he got off to a great start, 3-0, 0.75 ERA in 4 April starts, and then he was equally very good right after the All-Star break, winning his first 6 decisions.
3 infielders on the right side, and the 0-2 pitch. Carpenter 1 home run shy of 20 this year. He's driven in 61 and hitting .278. And he swings through the changeup, and Jason Hamill has his first strikeout of the night. Hyundai pitch arsenal with Hamill, fastball, slider, the curve, and change. Brings in Randall Grichuk. There are his season numbers.
He's had success against the Cubs and Hamill this year.
Recently saw his 9-game hitting streak come to a close. He's 0 for his last 7. Outfield very deep. Here's a 1-0. Fouled back and a good cut by Randall Grichuk. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs. Soler, Fowler, Hayward in the outfield. Bryant, Russell, Zobrist, Rizzo on the infield. And Wilson Contreras is behind the plate. May not see his arm come into play, but that young man behind the plate has an absolute cannon.
And also got a little pop in his bat.
Former infielder converted to a catcher, and at one point could have been had by anybody. The Cubs had given up on him. He comes back as a catcher in the minor leagues and starts to hit. The 3-1 pitch. Grichuk hits it sharply past Bryant and down into the left field corner. On his way to second, he'll stop there. Dug out of the corner by Soler. And Randall Grichuk, another extra base hit, and it's a double.
24th double of the year. A lot of his hits are on extra base variety. And Hamill missing location. They wanted this ball away. You can see how it drifts back over the middle of the plate. Turns on it, pulls it down in the left field corner. And with one out, the Cardinals have a scoring opportunity. Cardinals have several guys that have good numbers against Hamill.
Good numbers for Piscotty with runners in scoring position. Overall batting .278. Breaking ball. Strike one. It's been a rough stretch for Jason Hamill. Last 4 games his ERA is 9.5, and he's 1-3 in those 4. 0-1 pitch to Stephen Piscotty.
Carpenter was fooled, and here you see Piscotty absolutely fooled on this pitch. Swung at a ball last night about the same location. Just obviously not picking up that pin or that pitch in the spin.
And the 0-2. Spoiled by Piscotty. Before the game, the Cardinals nominee for the Clemente Award was honored before this big crowd, and that's Adam Wainwright. Fans can vote for Adam. Social media, hashtag vote Wainwright. He's done some great things in our community and overseas as well.
Very deserving.
Nice play by Contreras. Matt Adams is at the on-deck circle.
Breaking ball in there. You see he uses the body to and the chest protector to kind of pin it up against his waist, and he was in position to throw. Grichuk knows he's got that cannon, not going to stray too far.
Fowler very deep in center, shading Piscotty a bit to right field. So the gap out there is in left center. 1-2 the count. Runner at second, Randall Grichuk. Big crowd still filing into Busch Stadium. Piscotty is swinging a miss, and the second strikeout. John Mozeliak handing that Clemente Award to Adam Wainwright, and then the family. It's a battle for the trophy. And a nice moment with his family before the game. He's done great work through fantasy football. If you're a fantasy football player, I certainly hope you did not have any Rams players on your roster. They were brutal last night. Couldn't happen to a better bunch of people. Here's Adams.
And I have a friend of mine that his family had 50-yard line tickets for 40 years. The Coliseum with the Rams. Texted me today and said, "You want them back?"
Here's a 1-0. Adams with a fly ball into left field. Soler is under it and puts it away. The Cardinals strand a runner. That's Grichuk after his double. 1 inning in the books. 1-0 Chicago. City as we check in with Jim.
Yeah, Trevor Rosenthal is as close as you can get to making a return to the Cardinals. Trevor threw another simulated game today, and it was a short one. I mean, really short. Rosenthal faced just 3 batters, and he said that was by design. He said his shoulder feels great, and the ball was coming out of his hand just the way he had hoped, so why go further? He told me, quote, saving the bullets would be a good idea so I can have a quick return and help us in some games. They want to see how he responds tomorrow. Then they'll figure out, Dan, if and when they'll activate him. But you have to believe Trevor Rosenthal very close.
Yeah, Jim. And what about Michael Wacha? How far away is Wacha in terms of coming back and joining the team?
Wacha said he hopes to be activated tomorrow. They were still checking him out because he threw yesterday. Said he felt great, but they like to see how guys respond, so they're giving him the once over. And if everything's good today, there's a chance that Michael Wacha could be activated tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see, Dan.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. Here's Ben Zobrist, the switch hitter, hitting .270. Home run by Fowler in the first was the 7th giving up by Jaime in his first innings this year. 24 runs and 7 home runs in the first inning.
Just one final thought about Michael Wacha. If he is activated, he would join the club pitching out of the bullpen. And with the last 2 years coming down with this stress reaction, a precursor to a stress fracture, you just wonder if maybe he can't take the rigors of being in the starting rotation, and his future will lie in the bullpen.
My understanding is he's done so much in terms of the exercises to strengthen up his shoulder that the bullpen now is something that shouldn't be of concern. So, and we know that's where he would go. It would be in the bullpen, and that was a couple of years ago the big concern. Would his shoulder and body be able to hold up if he went out to the bullpen, had to be used in back-to-back games? Inside, And the first walk issued by Garcia. Addison Russell 0 for 5, couple of strikeouts against Jaime Garcia. He made a dazzling play in the hole to rob Johnny Peralta to keep the no-hitter intact last night.
We always talk about the young shortstops that have popped up this year. And you forget that Russell's only 22 years of age, and look at that, 20 home runs and 90 RBIs. Put himself in that mix also.
The 1-0. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, over the years, 7 starts in his career. Did have 1 appearance out of the bullpen for Jaime Garcia. The 2.27 ERA. 1-1 this year against Chicago.
Jaime has the second best ground ball percentage in the National League. Slightly behind tomorrow's starter, Carlos Martinez.
Mike Matheny the other day was asked about Garcia's spot in the rotation. Really dismissed that. It's been a rough stretch. In 5 of his last 8 starts, he's given up 5 earned in each of those 5 games.
A lot of home runs.
2-1 pitch, changeup, stayed with it, and it is fair. Into the left field corner. Zobrist being waved home. No throw, and Russell makes it 2-0 Chicago.
91st RBI. Looked like he got a pitch down in the zone and really went after that changeup. Not a bad pitch at all. Where he's down there, but he went down and got it.
So runner at second base. Zobrist scoring all the way from first. And it brings in Hayward, hitting .225 this season. Hayward, a tremendous catch in the stands last night.
158 against Jaime.
Fly ball into center, backing up. Grichuk makes the catch. And staying put, Zobrist, or rather Russell, at second base.
Grichuk robbed Hayward last night with a great running diving catch into right center, and as Hayward was running towards second base, he took his cap off to salute his former teammate on a great play.
One out, runner at second. Ball 1 to Wilson Contreras, the catcher, hitting .263.
He's called up on June 17th from Iowa, and he homered in consecutive games for the first time in his career.
Pitch sharply to short. Diaz makes the play. Around the Horn is brought to you by Dobbs. Moss, Grichuk, Piscotty in the outfield. Peralta, Diaz, Carpenter, and Adams on the infield, and Yadier Molina is behind the plate. Around the Horn presented by Dobbs. Here's the pitcher, Jason Hamill. He's hitting .233 this year.
On April 19th, he paced the Cardinals, went 6 innings, allowed just 1 run. They won 2-1 in that ball game, and Hamels drove in both runs.
Well, the outs that are getting hit are just loud outs. The ground ball, the line out. Cardinals don't like what they see. Alex Reyes already up in throwing in the Cardinals pen. I thought they may do this. They don't like what they're seeing at all.
No, and as I said, Jaime's his 29th start. That's the most he's had since 2011. There you see the flamethrower. And he just may be running out a little bit of gas.
Here's a 1-0. Good changeup. 1 ball and 1 strike. And Bryant making out in the first on a ground out hard hit. Rizzo the line out to center. Hayward, his ball was hit to fairly deep center. The ground out by Contreras was hard hit. A little chopper just over the head of Garcia. Diaz bare hands and no play. Hamill is aboard.
Once that ball got over the head of Jaime Garcia, you knew it was going to be a tough play for Diaz. He tried to barehand it and doesn't come up with it. Just a tapper right over the mound. Come in with the pitcher running. He might have had a little more time, but it's pretty much a do or die play, and he just misses connection.
If he does not get Fowler, that might be it for Garcia. Fowler hit a solo home run to center field to start this game. So 2 on and 2 outs, runners at first and third.
You're right, Dan. You know, you got the expanded rosters in September. If you don't like what you see, you have that option. But Jaime's had this rough spell, but Mike's trying to show the confidence in him, but probably a very quick leash. Watch his mannerisms out there. It almost tells you that he doesn't feel confident in his stuff tonight. If we can see that, what do you think a hitter sees?
The 2-0. 3-0. Chris Bryant on deck. Macy Fowler swinging. Leadoff man, even though it's 3-0. He's hit 2 home runs in back-to-back days. Cubs have nothing to lose. They're playing free and easy. And he walked him. 2 walks in the inning, and the bases are loaded. You know, Mike Matheny might be saying this is our game right here.
It is, and he's coming out. Last thing the Cardinals want to see is a celebration on their field, so you have to win either tonight or tomorrow to avoid that.
So Chevy called to the pen, and here comes Alex Reyes. 23 2/3 for Alex Reyes this year. 9th appearance. He's been mixed in with the bullpen and a couple of starts, and now in relief of Jaime Garcia here in the top of the 2nd. Back on August 13th, he followed Luke Weaver, and he went 3 innings, gave up just 1 hit, struck out 3 on 51 pitches. Cardinals eventually came back to win that game. Garcia threw 37 pitches, more balls and strikes. And now Alex Reyes inherits a bases loaded situation, and Chris Bryant at the plate. Bryant grounded out to short, first time up. Edison Russell, the RBI double. Hamels, an infield hit, and Dexter Fowler, the walk.
Bryant has faced Reyes 1 time. 0 for 1. Reyes is 1 for 1 and 1 in the year with a 1.52 ERA.
Round ball that's tapped foul. And while you don't want to see the Cubs clinch against St. Louis, of way greater importance for the Cardinals, they need a win to stay in the wild card race. That's what's most important for them.
Mets are leading 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th inning. That's at Washington.
Noah Syndergaard making that start for New York. Here's an 0-2 pitch to Bryant. With all his production, a lot of strikeouts, so a chance to get out of this jam.
136 strikeouts for Bryant. A lot of production with those strikeouts.
Here's a 1-2 to Chris Bryant. And he struck him out. Reyes comes in, strikes out Bryant, and the Cubs strand the bases loaded. Cardinals make the move to lift Garcia, and the move pays off. The strikeout of Chris Bryant. Get 9 hits tonight. You're invited into Krispy Kreme tomorrow and receive a dozen of their original glazed donuts for only $3.99. Stop by one of the 4 St. Louis area Krispy Kreme locations, or the locations in Bloomington or Springfield, Illinois, for this sensational deal. Here's Yadier Molina, followed by Johnny Peralta and Brandon Moss. So 37 pitches for Garcia with 18 strikes. And a nice note from Thomas Nickus of Swansea, Illinois. It's popped up and foul. Writing to tell me he is a converted Cardinals fan. Used to be a Cubs fan. Absolutely loves the Cardinals. Had some tremendous things to say about them. And Thomas Nickus of Swansea, Illinois, we appreciate you writing in. And I'm with you. Go Cards. Here's an 0-2 pitch to Molina. Hit out of play again. Toyota key to the game.
Hey, last night's over. Start out fresh. Can't do anything about that. One hitter. Give a nod to Hendricks and the Cubs, but you do not want to see that celebration here, so put on the pressure.
And Molina waves at it, so Hamill has seen 5 hitters. He struck out 3 of them.
And you can really tell Chris Bosio, the pitching coach for the Cubs, has really got these guys to use both sides of the plate. The pitch before was up and in. That forces a hitter to kind of be defensive, and then you go out after that breaking ball away, have no chance to hit it. If you do, it's going to be a little dribbler. This pitching staff, and they got some age to it, but they know what they're doing.
Strike 1 on Peralta. Hamill notorious for struggling in the second half of his seasons. So doctors prescribed him potato chips due to cramping. And that would help with potassium and the carbs to stay strong. So he's on a potato chip diet here in the second half. Peralta lifts a fly ball out to center. And Fowler is there to make the catch for out number 2.
Must be working because he got off to a tremendous start in the second half, 6-0.
Brings in Brandon Moss, 1 for his last 41.
6-0 and a 0.95 ERA. Here's the do factor, Brandon Moss.
Cubs put the shift on. Outfield straight away and deep. And that's ball 1. And Moss picks up a base hit into right field.
It was 1 for 41 before that base hit. Day off yesterday, kind of mental break. And there was a big relief. Down and in, just drops that bat head, hits a screamer out to right.
The first start in quite a while for Aledmys Diaz. Very good season. First year in the big leagues. All-star campaign. Cardinals certainly have missed him.
July 31st when he fractured the thumb. Been out all that time. Pinch hit yesterday, but his first start since that time. Where would his numbers be right now if he would not have gotten hurt?
Diaz, deep left, 1 swing, tie game. Welcome back, Aledmys Diaz.
Welcome back. Ball inside. He just turns on it, and he's got tremendous power. He helped me answer that question. What would it be like if he would not have gotten hurt? His 15th home run, 58, 59 RBIs.
Reyes, and a diving stop by Zobrist at second base. It's a new game thanks to Aledmys Diaz. 15th home run, RBIs 58 and 59. A 2-run shot out to left, and this game is tied at 2. It's 2-2 our score. C.C. Strand, chairman of the Gateway PGA Reach Foundation, is with us, and Ozzie Smith was supposed to be here. Ozzie's done a lot with golf and inner cities and trying to get kids to play golf, but we're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
You said you were nervous before this. Don't be nervous.
Okay.
We're just talking golf.
Great. I can talk golf.
We can do that. Ozzie obviously is in this, and the PGA has gotten so involved with trying to get kids to play the game of golf. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Absolutely. Actually, the Gateway PGA Reach Foundation is connected to the Gateway PGA section, which represents all of the PGA professionals in the St. Louis area. And we've really gotten our start by working with Bellerive and creating a community effort related to the championships that were here in 2013, the senior championship, and then the one coming in 2018, trying to leave a lasting impact on the community.
Here's a 1-0 pitch inside to Anthony Rizzo. Bellerive has just been amazing, and not only the great facility and the course, it's one of the best in the world, but in trying to help the community.
Absolutely. I think when the members of Bellerive decided to pursue these championships, that was the key piece, was to leave a lasting impression and impact on the community, and that's actually become a model for the PGA nationally.
And how did Ozzie get involved with all this?
He actually became involved through relationship with a PGA professional that he knows, and I think there was just a really great synergy between doing some good in the North City area with children and some parallels to his growing up.
So how does golf help out kids in the inner city? How does it all work?
Well, really what we do is use the influence and the affluence of golf to take the golfing community and point resources in the direction where they're most needed in the community. So we're somewhat of a conduit for people who want to help. And
I know you guys have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is Soler at the plate through the idea of playing golf and teaching kids life lessons. Where does that money go?
Well, we have several partners in the community, and those include Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southeastern Missouri, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater St. Louis, Hope Education, and Urban K Life. And we support those organizations financially and with in order for them to put on different programs that they otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Did Ozzie come to you, or did you guys go to Ozzie? Or is it a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's a good marriage.
Yeah.
He has a passion for golf, and his role as a legend in this community has just been a priceless gift to our organization and helping us create awareness and raise some funds.
Normally kids in the inner city don't have the opportunity to play the great game of golf. What's their reaction to picking up a golf club and learning some of the life lessons of the sport?
You know, it's interesting. I think there are some who get the bug, just like, you know, any segment of the population. And one interesting tidbit is that the high school kids who we support through the Urban K-Life organization are doing some caddying at Belle Reve on Tuesday afternoons. And so I think getting exposure just to that element of golf and learning how to be out there is also a life lesson.
And so many people at Belle Reve, well connected in this community, businessmen and women. I'm sure it opens up doors that they would never have had opened without being out there.
Absolutely. We're proud to say that the first graduating class commenced last May. So for 4 years, we've been supporting kids through Urban K-Life, and now they're all in college. And I think that is a huge testament to the importance of mentoring and putting effort into kids.
Will some of those kids be helping out with the big PGA Championship coming to Belle Reve?
Most likely. You know, obviously the ones who are in college are probably moving along, but every year there's another group of 10 or 12 kids who come in as they start high school, and the hope is that that's a continual feeding of kids into the PGA Reach programs.
How can people get involved?
Well, we have a website, and they can definitely go there, www.gatewaypga.org, I believe.
Okay.
And they are certainly welcome to volunteer, to give us financial support, and we have some events throughout the year, most notably a gala and golf outing in the spring in June, as well as an Ozzie and Friends event. Sometimes it's a concert, sometimes it's a comedy night, and that will be this fall. We're working out the details.
Do you know the details at all with that at this point, or roughly the date?
It's probably going to be in early November, but
okay.
It's not all nailed down yet.
I'd have to say it again. The folks at Belle Reve have just been incredible in bringing events to St. Louis and opening up doors for kids in the inner city, but also putting St. Louis on the map in the golf community. That's just been remarkable what Belle Reve has done.
Absolutely. And when you think about the other high-level courses in the country, we've probably gotten at least, if not more than our share of championship level tournaments, and I think that's a testament to Belle Reve and the great organization that they are and the focus that they have on doing the right thing.
Well, we can't thank you enough for stopping in here. You did a great job, by
Thanks.
the way. Relax.
I can now.
We'll see you at Ozzie and Friends coming up.
Sounds great.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
And thanks to the great folks at Belle Reve Country Club for their continued support of golf in our community and helping out so many kids and bringing these big events to St. Louis. Belle Reve, one of the best in the country. Let's see Yadier Molina go out to settle down Alex Reyes. Addison Russell at the plate, the 1-1 pitch, and he went with a changeup. 1-2. Rizzo soft liner to start this inning. Soler the walk, Zobrist to walk, and so Reyes trying to pitch out of trouble here. That's to the backstop. Runners at second and third.
Just overthrows it. Way wide of Yachty. Long time for a wild pitch.
So the 2-2 pitch coming up to Addison Russell. Double down the left field line. Big gap in left center. Fouled back and a good cut. Cubs jumped out to a 2-0 lead if you've just joined us. Cardinals come back, one swing of the bat. Home run by Aledmys Diaz after the single off the bat of Brandon Moss. We're tied 2-2 here in the top of the third. Pretty shallow here for Addison Russell. Would they even test him? Very shallow here. Grichuk with the catch. Runners stay put. Big out for Alex Reyes. 2 down.
I just really don't like the way Grichuk caught that ball. He was assuming they would not try to go home, where you would rather have him have his momentum coming forward and really just gunning the ball home. Let's see why he's pretty much just standing flat-footed instead of really coming in forward.
Runners at second and third. Here's Jason Hayward. Fly to center, first time up. Inside. Cardinals have continually tried to bust Hayward in. They know him as well as anybody after spending all last season wearing the birds on the bat.
Very tough year for Hayward. Play great defense, but not hit much at all.
1 ball and 1 strike.
Heard it from the Chicago faithful, but because of the team and winning all the time, it's not as bad as it could be. But he'll hear it here, both sides, if he makes it out.
Here's a 1-1. Popped up. Playable. Peralta. Got it. Two our score. TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live in high definition on more than 400 supported devices. And enjoy a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv. It's Matt Carpenter, Randall Grichuk, Stephen Piscotty here in the bottom of the third. Breaking ball taken for his strike. Carpenter struck out his first time up on a changeup. He had to leave last night's game with a sore back. It tightened up on him. Went through some testing today. Everything checked out all right. He's in the lineup. And quickly, no balls and 2 strikes.
Talked to Carpenter. He said it was the lower back, which kind of grabbed him, but you know he's going to play. And we like him back in the leadoff spot.
And Carpenter is hit by the pitch.
Any way to get on base, we'll take it. A glancing blow right there. Look at the back off the back leg. Saw the pant leg move.
So runner at first, and here is Grichuk. Double inside the third base line. He's 1 for 1 tonight. Strike one. Grichuk moving up to the second spot in this lineup. On the homestand, he has hit 8th. He has hit cleanup, and tonight number 2. Here's the 0-1. Ripped foul.
Good numbers against Hamill. Hamill's allowed 22 home runs, Dan, and 17 of those 22 have happened away from Wrigley Field. I think Wrigley Field will give up a lot of home runs, but the fact is that wind blows in twice as often as it blows out.
Here's an 0-2 pitch to Grichuk. And a called third strike. So Jason Hamill has struck out 4. That's the first out here in the bottom of the third.
As you can see by that location, these cut pitchers really do a good job throwing on both sides of the plate, try to avoid leaving anything in the middle.
Two our score here in the bottom of the third. Runner at first, 1 out. And it brings in Piscotty. Struck out his first time up. That's it out of play. Well, visit your greater St. Louis area McDonald's on September 15th. Try the all-new Chicken McNuggets. Free when you dine in. Only at McDonald's.
A very short lead over there, with Rizzo holding him on at first. A lot of hitting room to the right side.
Here's a 1-1. Out to left. Soler makes the catch. Back to first goes Matt Carpenter. And Piscotty is over 2 tonight. So the Cardinals get the leadoff man on as Carpenter was hit by a pitch. Then Grichuk called out on strikes. Piscotty a fly out to left, and now Adams, who also fly to left his first time up. Matt has changed his walk-up music. See if that changes his luck.
I wonder if that was with consultation with Jim Hayes.
Jimmy is a leader on so many fronts. Shoulder to cry on. A guy to give you, well, just some ideas of walk-up music. Maybe the quick interview along the way. You never know.
Never know.
So 2 outs and a runner at first.
Porsche, boy, you can still see him throwing the ceremonial first pitch. About a week, 10 days later, he passed away.
One ball and one strike.
Outfield playing very deep. Adams was swinging the bat well right before he missed those 18 games with a shoulder injury.
Next to Adams. It's an out of play. I would assume for guys like Adams and Wong, and to an extent for the better part of this season, Grichuk, tough to get into a rhythm. You know, dealing with injuries, then a couple of times being sent down when they're here. Maybe don't play every day. Trying to find that rhythm.
Wong and Grichuk were both sent down for reasons that had the good attitude. Here's a slider. Sent down for reasons, trying to get their bat and confidence back, and both of them come back here with a little better idea and been contributing. Looks like they want the slider again.
Short lead at first, the 2-2. Adams yanks it foul. Miami leads Atlanta. That's at the top of the 7th, 6-3. Marlins still holding out hope. So are the Pirates. They're tied 2-2 at the top of the 7th. And the Mets in the bottom of the 7th, a 3-1 lead over Washington. Later tonight, San Diego at San Francisco. 2 balls and 2 strikes on the Cardinals first baseman, Matt Adams. And he struck him out. 2 strikeouts in the inning, and already 6 for Jason Hamill. We're tied at Busch Stadium. It's 2-2. Holiday to returning to this lineup. More on that. Let's check in with Jim.
Holiday told me yesterday, Dan, he had a couple more hurdles to get over before he can get into games. He said one of them is facing live pitching, not just BP. John Mozeliak told me that will happen possibly on Thursday. He said Holiday will hit in a simulated game when the team is in San Francisco. Mozeliak says Holiday has had no issues with his surgically repaired thumb. They just want to make sure his timing is where it needs to be. But Dan, as you say, very close.
Jim, is it true that you may have helped Matt Adams with his walk-up song?
Let's just call it a consultation, Dan. He's had some some good stretches that have been accompanied by walk-up music that is very upbeat. We're talking CNC Music Factory, Marky Mark, and the Funky Bunch. And why not go with Hanson Mbop? I think everyone loves it, and hopefully it will pay dividends.
All right, Jim, that's why you're the best in the business, no doubt. No doubt about that. Good stuff from Jim. So you get the hard-hitting news as Contreras is shook up a bit. Joe Madden at the top of the dugout. And then you get the not so hard-hitting news from Jim, and he clears it all up.
Just totally confused on every one of those music songs.
2-0 the count. Contreras grounded out to short first time up. Reyes in relief of Jaime Garcia. Jaime lasted an inning and 2/3, and with the bases loaded, Chris Bryant due up. The Cardinals went to Reyes and he struck him out. Last inning, walked 2, but no damage done. Three and 1 the count.
Dan, we might explain too that Reyes was taken out of the rotation, not because they weren't happy with him. Just felt he could be a bigger weapon and pitch more frequently in relief and help the club that way.
Trying to bridge the gap between a starter and maybe Segrist or O in the back end of games. Jim mentioned that Rosenthal is close to returning. Felt great today. And that pitch is taken high. So third walk issued by Reyes, which has been the issue with him in the minor leagues. There's no doubting his stuff. Just the Cardinals want to see him more efficient inside the strike zone and staying in games.
And because of that, at times can be a little wild. As you see the Hyundai pitch arsenal, got 3+ pitches. They're very good, all 3 of them. But because he doesn't throw enough strikes, that pitch count will get to the point where, he was about through after 5 innings.
This is Hamill, gets the bunt down. Adams applies the tag. And advancing on the play, Contreras to second base, and we're back to the top of the lineup in Dexter Fowler. Fowler a solo home run to center and also walked back in the second.
I think the importance of this ball game, Mike Matheny does not want to see the Cubs celebrate, so bringing in Reyes this early, I kind of envisioned that he'd be more, the 6th and 7th inning guy, but this is very important to stop the Cubbies right now.
Well, he also wants to win to get to the wild card.
Sure.
It's inevitable here with Chicago, whether they do it in St. Louis or at Wrigley. But this game very important from the Cardinals' perspective, and the fact that they're trying to keep pace in the wild card. They start a half game back of New York tonight. Runner at second, Contreras. 2 balls and no strikes. So San Francisco game and a half in front of New York. Mets half in front of St. Louis, then Miami, Pittsburgh, and Colorado. The 2-0 pitch to Fowler. So it's been back-to-back games, home runs for Dexter Fowler. This one a no-doubter out to right, and then he starts the game with a home run to center from the other side of the plate. Inside, and that is walk number 4 for Reyes.
First time we've really seen him have problems with his command and control, and Derek Lilliquist going to go out there and hopefully get him back on track. Because of his ability to strike out people, he can get out of these jams, but the pitch count gets up there. And look at 22 balls to just 15 strikes, not the ratio you want by any means.
Brings in Bryant with 2 runners on the Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. That's all time in terms of a Cub leading the National League in home runs and runs in a season. Maybe an MVP season for Bryant. First pitch is strike.
People believe it's his to lose. What a talent he is. And
0-1 pitch. Well, you think about it, these two could be seeing each other for many years to come. Two of the top young players and pitchers in the game, Reyes and Chris Bryant. Runners at first and second. A count of 1 ball, 1 strike. Reyes would love the double play right here.
And Dan, when I look at Chris Bryant, it kind of reminds me of Kingman. Dave Kingman, you know, the size-wise and everything, but it has the power of Kingman, but he also has a much better batting average than Dave Kingman. Pretty much all or nothing for King Kong.
High fly ball out to left. Moss under it. 2 outs. Runners stay put. You know, that's the one thing with Bryant. When you see his swing, and you don't always see it from a right-hander, more times than not a left-handed batter, but the uppercut, so he doesn't hit the ball on the ground all that much. He's only grounded into 3 double plays this year.
And that's sort of a trend with a lot of the Cub players. They are not really the ground ball kind of guys. They hit the ball in the air.
So now Rizzo lined out to center, popped out to third.
Like you said, left-handers have that sweet uppercut stroke.
I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another hitter in the game that stands as close to the plate as Rizzo and then hovers over the plate, daring you to pitch him inside.
That's it. It really is daring you to go inside. You go inside effectively, you get him out. But he's saying that I don't think you're going to be able to get there, and you're going to leave more balls out over the plate, and I'm going to get you. And we also know that, you know, he gets hit high percentage because hanging out over the plate, and he's trying to help his team any way possible.
Runners at first and second. 2-0 the count on Rizzo. This may have been ball 3. Let's take a look.
Yes, should be.
The 2-1.
'97, you think about twice when you're leaning into that pitch.
I would think so. Reyes is 1 pitch away from walking his 5th batter in the last 2 innings. Nobody up and throwing in the Cardinals pen. Pitch number 46 from Reyes. And the bases are loaded.
Well, you're seeing right now why Reyes was in the minor leagues. There's no doubt he's got a big league arm and he's got big league potential, but make one good pitch and get out of this inning, but the pitch count gets up high.
Soler with a fly ball, late break by Grichuk, but he's there. The Cubs strand the bases loaded for the 2nd time tonight. Reyes pitches out of the jam, and we're tied at 2. Baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. Ichiro Suzuki, 2 more hits tonight. He passed Lou Brock on the all-time hit list last night. Up next would be Rod Carew at 3,053 hits. Brian Dozier, 40 home runs this year, 38 while playing second base. Majority of those in the second half. And the Yankees and their young stars, this is one of them. Gary Sanchez, 13 home runs already in his first 35 career games.
He slowed down his pace. But he had 11 in the first 20-some games, I think.
And the Yankees still in the fight for the American League East and a wild card spot.
After they basically traded so much of their star power.
One of those guys we saw last night in the back end of the bullpen of the Cubs, and that's Aroldis Chapman. Andrew Miller went to Cleveland. A-Rod let go.
Beltran went to Texas.
2-2 our score here in the bottom of the 4th. Molina struck out back in the second inning. And pulls it foul just past third base coach Chris Maloney. We get asked all the time about Jose Oquendo, and he is resting comfortably down in Florida after having a couple of knee surgeries. Cardinals have left the door open for him to return, whether it be in the major leagues or working with the minor leaguers. But he'll have some role with the club next year. As Molina grounds out, and he's over 2.
Kinder told me when he loves coaching and working with the younger players. And when Tony first came here, he offered him a coaching job, and he first turned it down. And then he offered to him again. He said, well, I can't turn him down twice. And Jose was, in my mind, the best third base coach we've had in a long, long time. Obviously, did a great job working with the defense.
Cardinal fan and a Cub fan.
They're fedoras.
Yep.
I like the one on the left.
One ball and 1 strike. Bottom of the 8th. Mets a 3-1 lead. Keep an eye on that score. Scott Warman and the gang over the studio will keep you up to date as Peralta hammers that foul.
See, Hamill really done a good job getting in on these right-handed batters, and when they do hit it solidly, they pull it foul, and then that opens up the outside part of the plate later on in the pitch sequence, or like right now.
And a fly ball out to right. Hayward, 2 down. Community Coffee is offering Cardinals fans the chance to see the Cardinals take on the Reds September 26th through the 29th for only $5. Visit cardinals.com/communitycoffee. Purchase your $5 tickets today. Well, some of the shots that our director Tom Mee gets are better than others. That's pulled foul.
Moss was 1 for 41 before coming up there. Very nice play by our ball boy. Just a screamer. Then he plays it off his belly into his hand.
Here's an 0-1. Ball boy has got a outfielder's glove. He shouldn't miss anything. He's got to at least get a piece of it.
Bigger, more protection.
The 1-1. There is an actual waiting list here at the ballpark to become an usher. There have been ushers From Busch Stadium 2 now here to Busch Stadium 3 that have been a part of their section for so many years, decades for some, as Moss pulls that foul.
So many of our ushers and usherettes have, you volunteer for charitable organizations and do so many things, but a lot of them second job. Others, it's what they do to enjoy retirement.
2-2. Number of the ushers come out and work at my golf tournament, which is the second Monday in October, and they volunteer their time to help with those that want to come out and play golf. Very, very helpful. And thank you very much. 2-2 in the dirt.
So Elmer's doing it again, huh?
Our friend right there, that's Ed. He's been around for a long time. As he's getting ready to kick out that Cubs fan. 3-2 pitch, pulled foul.
When old Busch Stadium, the bullpens were down the right field line, and Don Thompson, who's now the guard in the clubhouse, he was out there sitting in the bullpen with me for several years, worked his way to the prestigious guard of the clubhouse.
3-2, and he walked him. Didn't miss by much. First walk issued by Hamill, BJC Healthcare difference maker, the highest OPS Cardinals rookies all time. And Diaz on that exclusive list of big names: Pujols, Mize, Aledmus, and Stan the Man.
Right between two Hall of Famers, Big Cat Johnny Mize and Stan Musial. And we sure enjoyed that 2-run home run he hit back in the second.
This is home run number 15 back in the second inning. RBIs 58 and 59. His first start since being struck on the hand in Miami.
Get that ball far enough inside and he can just jump on that ball. He's still second in the National League in infield hits.
Ball scoots away and staying put. Moss, he knows about that arm. 2-0 the count.
When you pitch him inside, he can turn on that ball and hit it a long way, and yet they'll go out there after a breaking ball, top it and beat it out.
2-0 pitch. You just wonder, is Mike Matheny given any thought to pinch hitting for Reyes, who has walked 5 in 2 innings? He's due up next if his spot comes up with 2 runners on.
We'd have to say no because no one's warming up, but bring up a good point. What if you have a 2-out scoring opportunity? Maybe because it's 2 outs, he's content to take his chances.
So they pitch around Diaz, back-to-back walks, and it brings in Alex Reyes. Just something to think about.
Sure.
Expanded rosters certainly would feel covered, and then also you might be able to bring him back quicker next week.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or the fact that you said, maybe 2 days off, and then you have him again as a weapon coming out of the bullpen.
So runners at first and second for Reyes, and that's a strike.
The thing about Alex is he has shown the ability that he doesn't need a long time to warm up either. He get ready fairly quickly. Sometimes a starter will go out there and needs 10-15 minutes. Can't do that in the bullpen.
Off the end of the bat, Reyes picked up a hit in Pittsburgh, his first ever major league hit, and he's 1 for 7 in his career. Struck him out. So 6 tonight for Jason Hamill. Cardinals strand 2. They have left 4 on. We head to inning number 5, tied at 2. Cy Young Award we showed you last night, but we believe could be the 4 or 5 finalists for that award. And Syndergaard would be in there, as Scott mentioned. The 7 innings, 10 strikeouts, only 4 hits allowed. So 3-1 Mets. Reyes 47 pitches. What stands out though in 2 1/3, 5 walks, which is a season high. He twice has stranded the bases loaded. Ben Zobrist, a pair of walks, on base twice tonight, and the first pitch is fouled back. Oh, and 2.
Talking about Reyes with his repertoire of pitches, he really can keep hitters off balance. Great fastball, very good curveball. It probably should throw that a little bit more, and the changeup.
And the 1-2 hit up the middle, but there is Diaz positioned near the bag and makes the play. It's only the second time tonight that the leadoff man in an inning has been retired. And it brings in Addison Russell. You know, Bob Gibson will tell you when he first started, there were times early in his career where he threw hard, but trying to find command of the strike zone wasn't there. Learned it as he went along.
And also, you know, Bob Gibson first started in the bullpen too. And, you know, a manager can kind of protect you. If you're going good, can leave you out there. One of those nights you really don't have much. You don't leave them out there long enough to get beat up. Where a lot of times, you know, these kids come up and they're in the rotation. They're throwing 5 innings in the minor leagues. And because of the pressure up here and the atmosphere, you know, they're going to, it translates more like to 4. And it's tough when you go, you're starting pitching, where the best thing you can get is a no decision.
Here's a 1-2. Fastball taken high at 97. Russell the double into the corner and also flied out to center. 1 for 2 tonight. And the 1-2 pitch. He's hit 98 on the gun, the low 77 with the changeup.
Another couple competitors that'll be doing this for a long time. Reyes and Russell.
Time is called. Joe Maddon ejected in the game last night. Upset with Joe West, the home plate umpire last night. That's to the backstop.
Well, he did something. Remember, we talked about it. He said, how can he go out and make a pitching change after you've been thrown out? And he was so mad at Joe West. He acknowledged that you're not supposed to do that, but they let him get away with it. You know, Joe was trying to stop them from the stall tactics, trying to get Chapman ready, but ultimately, because of the argument, he got enough time to get ready.
Change up, a good one, and Russell a swing and a miss. Second strikeout for Alex Reyes. So it's a home run on the 0-2 pitch hit by Hazelbaker. That broke up the no-no. Montero then comes out. Here comes Joe Maddon, and then Joe West says, let's go.
You've already been out there one time. Get back here. But they're best of friends today.
Joe Maddon was asked time and again by reporters last night about the incident, and to his credit, he diffused it. He said, it's over, it's done with, I'm not talking about it. I told you what happened, and this night is about Kyle Hendricks, not about the ejection. Mike Matheny was none too pleased with how it was handled. The 2-0 pitch upstairs to Hayward.
Remember, Mike was trying to do everything he could to kind of stall and make Hendricks have a long inning, you know, and then pitch around. The 8th place hitter to bring up Hendricks to delay it even more. 6th walk.
Eighth place hitter Wilson Contreras, first time that Hayward's been aboard. Jason, only 8 stolen bases this year. Teams are running a little bit more against Yadier Molina, and Yadi is piling up the innings way ahead of the rest of the field in terms of innings caught. He's on pace to set his career high. A lot of times those stolen bases, as time is called by Molina, are against the pitcher.
Well, I think it's not so much they're running against Molina, they're running against the pitchers with very poor times to the plate, which allows, because half the time Molina doesn't even have time to make a throw, just concedes the base because the guy's already there.
So stolen base attempts this year against Molina, 65. The most was back in 2012, 70 against him. Just not used to seeing, you know, these teams and these runners going against him.
Yeah, but you can also see that all the other catchers probably have more like 120 attempts against them.
Two 2-0 the count. Well, one of those nights for Alex Reyes, really fighting it. Release point. I'm sure he feels pressure at this spot. Big game, the rivalry. Walks are piling up with 6 already against Reyes tonight. The 2-0. when he goes with a changeup on 2-0.
You see the good. You sell it with your arm action, and then you have it back in your hands, so the ball just doesn't come out with the same velocity, but it looks just like your fastball. And I was just looking at the Cubs catchers have had about 150 attempts against them.
The 2-1 pitch to Contreras. On its way. Outside, 3-1. The pitcher's spot. Jason Hamill is on deck. Contreras grounded out to short and walked. What's got to be frustrating for the young man right now?
Well, and it's just not a hit allowed by Reyes, but 6 walks. Contreras is going for downtown. Reyes has the confidence to throw that changeup any point in the count. Well, we see it here at 3-2.
There goes Hayward, the 3-2, and he struck him out with a changeup. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 3 thus far for Alex Reyes. He comes back to get Wilson Contreras midway through 5, and it's 2-2. Carpenter, Grichuk, Piscotty. A game that has already seen the Cubs strand 9. 3 hits aside, the Cubs have stranded 9. The Cardinals have stranded 4. Carpenter struck out on a changeup back in the first and was hit by a pitch in the third. Outfield is straight away, and a packed house here at Busch Stadium for the Cubs and the Cards. Fly ball to center. Fowler in front of the track to make the catch for the first out.
Note that the outfielders playing very deep on several of the Cardinal hitters.
Cubs have received 8 walks in this game, and yet only 2 runs scored.
Well, like you said, they've stranded 9 runners.
Grichuk takes a ball low. These two teams wrap up the homestand in the series tomorrow. Then for the Cardinals, it's off to San Francisco, first of 4. Then Colorado, always a tough place to play. An off day, and then 3 at Wrigley to wrap up the road portion of the schedule. The 2-0. 3-0. Hamill has walked 2. He has struck out 6.
Walked 2 last inning. He also has hit a batter. Both sides only have 3 hits.
Swinging on 3-0. It's now 3-1. Big gap in left center. Popped foul and out of play. Early start tomorrow at noon. Lester and Martinez. Great matchup. Hope you tune in right here on Fox Sports Midwest. Noon with our coverage. Budweiser, what's on tap? Off the mask of Contreras. John Lester would be one of those that you would consider for the Cy Young Award, and Martinez is quietly, I'd have to say, put together a very good year. Comes back to get him and strikes him out. 7 strikeouts.
Looked like it was ball 4 that he's swinging at. They wanted that breaking ball down and away, and kind of backs up a little bit, ends up and in, and swings through it.
6 of the 7 strikeouts have been swinging on that 3rd strike, and now it's Piscotty, who is 0 for 2. Struck out in the 1st and flied out to left. 0 for 2 tonight. Be very interesting to see how Joe Maddon approaches the playoffs in that Game 1 starter. For the Cardinals, could be just one game, winner take all, and who they go with and how it all unfolds. You may have a Wainwright or a Martinez that have to pitch in that final game of the regular season just to get you in. 0-2 the count.
But you know, you're going to have better pitching in the postseason, so they can control a lot of the offense. The Cardinals so reliant on the home run.
Chicago Cubs, 1908. Last World Series title. None for Washington, none for Texas, and for Cleveland the last was 1948. They were close in 1997. Jose Mesa trying to close out the Florida Marlins, and it was Edgar Renteria with a walk-off base hit that won it. The Nationals come back and they have tied the game up against the Mets. It's now 3-3 in the 9th. Here's the 0-2. Just missed. Rendon and Ramos with a couple of singles, and the Nationals have something going. Piscotty is swinging a miss, and that's 8 strikeouts for Jason Hamill. We head to the 6th. We're tied up. It's 2-2. younger. Entering with a ticket, receive a growth poster featuring Stephen Piscotty, courtesy of Missouri Farmers Care. Stay in your seats after the game. Watch a dazzling fireworks display presented by Cooper Tires. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. The 6 walks by Reyes, the most by a Cardinals pitcher this year. And we start play here in the 6th inning. Jason Hamill, Dexter Fowler, and Chris Bryant. Hamill may be taking until he gets 2 strikes.
Why not? Like I said, back in April, he pitched against the Cardinals, won the ball game 2-1, and he drove in both runs. So don't take him for granted.
The 2-1. Now 2-2. What are you seeing out of Reyes? Anything that would lead you to believe one way or another as to why he's walking so many?
Not really. I mean, he's got the very simple windup. You know, more than anything, it's concentration. You know, if you're physically sound and you're not throwing strikes, it's more mental than physical.
Out of play.
I think our home plate umpire has been a little bit of the cause. Certain pitches appear to be strikes and called balls, and others that are out of the strike zone are called strikes.
Another 2-2. Hamill with a fly ball out to deep left, going out. Moss, and makes the catch. Outfielders are playing way in, so Moss was on his horse to make that play. Well, don't let work get in the way of watching the Cardinals. You can watch tomorrow's afternoon start against the Cubs on your phone, tablet, or computer if you're away from your TV and can't see it on Fox Sports Midwest. Get the free Fox Sports Go app and watch at foxsportsgo.com. Stream the Cardinals wherever you go.
Watch Reyes' windup. It's very simple, and then he jerks, and right at the point of releasing the ball, he kind of accelerates. That could be, if you're a little bit late, your arm drags a little bit. Timing has to be important.
The 0-1. That's it, out of play. Fowler a couple of walks and a solo home run to start the game back in the first.
Real simple windup, kind of slow and everything, and then right at the end he kind of rapidly throws the ball.
Here's an 0-2. Changeup, struck him out on the outside corner.
And there's a pitch right there that looked like it was well outside. Fowler thought so. And I think our Fox tracks will show you the same thing. Now he brings it back and gets the call, but I mean, that ball's 6 inches outside.
Chris Bryant 0 for 3 tonight. First pitch is popped up and fouled back. Reyes came in relief of Jaime Garcia. If you just joined us, Cubs leading 2-0. Bases loaded in the second with Bryant due up, and Mike Matheny had seen enough, so he pulled Garcia, brought in Reyes, who struck him out. Since that time, he has walked 6. He has struck out 4. And there's a base hit.
First base hit Reyes has allowed, and the first base hit for the Cubs since the second inning.
Just the 4th overall. Watch the uppercut swing that he takes. Puts topspin on the ball.
You look at how he's so tall and it really bends over. It looks very uncomfortable, that stance, but obviously the success he's had, he's going to stay with it. But it almost looks like because of his height, he has to come up, raise up to to get into a swing and then being running towards first base.
Here's Rizzo, fouled back. Matt Bowman starts to throw in the Cardinals pen. It's turning out to be just about a start for Reyes. He's at 82 pitches.
And we kind of think that it's another day off for O, who's been nursing not a severe, but a groin strain. He hadn't been available since like Friday.
Here's the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, and a runner at first. Pace of this game quite different from the one that we saw last night, with Hendricks going through the Cardinals lineup. Leake, a quick worker as well, and he went 6 innings. Cardinals bullpen did a nice job. With all the walks, you have a very slow moving game. Watching Grichuk out in center, he's stretching, and Diaz fiddling with his cap, kicking at the dirt. Same with Peralta at third.
Not doing your defense a favor, and he's throwing a couple changeups that have really been up in the zone. You know, not but because he can throw near triple digits, you know, all of a sudden that 88, 87 mile an hour changeup. But you want to get him down. Another changeup.
And a high fly ball into right. And the catch is made by Stephen Piscotty. So nice work by Reyes. Outside of the walks, no runs allowed. Baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. And by your local Volkswagen dealer.
Tomorrow afternoon, Carlos Martinez will try to win his 15th game. Hamels trying to win his 15th tonight. Last night, Hendricks won his 15th game. Lester, 16-game winner. He'll oppose Martinez tomorrow. And Arrieta's won 17 games.
Here's the 0-1. Adams 0 for 2 tonight. He's flied out to left and also struck out. They are now in the 10th. Is Justin Grimm getting loose for the Cubs? The Mets and Nationals tied 3-3.
That's something Joe Maddon's been doing. He's been pulling his starters early, just trying to conserve and make sure they're all fresh for playoff competition.
And a strikeout of Adams. That's now 9 and 3 in a row for Jason Hamill.
Cubs been doing it with pitching, defense. Got enough offense to where they stand up with their good pitching staff.
There's Yadier Molina over 2. He's grounded to third and also struck out. There's strike 1. Hamill tonight, 2 walks. Those were back-to-back in the 4th. He's hit a man that was Carpenter in the 3rd, and he has struck out 9 tonight.
He hasn't allowed a hit since Diaz hit the 2-run home run back in the 2nd.
Here's a 1-1. Molina, base hit into left.
This location there, they wanted it in and left it over the middle of the plate. Yachty hit it hard. The glove, Contreras goes back over the middle of the plate.
There's Johnny Peralta, 7 home runs this year. 0 for 2 tonight. Fly to center, also flied out to right. TJ Rivera with a home run for the Mets off of Mark Melancon. It's now 4-3. New York in the 10th. Short lead at first by Molina. And the 0-1 pitch. A fly ball lifted to left. Soler under it. Out number 2. Hit a home run with the Hilton St. Louis at the ballpark and the St. Louis Union Station Hotel. Choose one of our Cardinal baseball packages. Score for your team. Just head to HiltonSt.Louis.com or call 314-421-1776.
Appears that Reyes' night is through as Bowman continues, and there you see the old professor Adam Wainwright sharing his knowledge, talking with these young guys, and just like Carpenter did with him.
Outfield is straight away. The shift on for Moss, who has walked and also singled and scored.
And you know, the only way you really learn in this game is to be out there pitching and then have somebody make an honest assessment of what you do right, what you do wrong.
Moss, deep drive, right field, way out of here. 2-run shot. Brandon Moss. Cardinals on top, 4-2.
Best shower he's had in a few days. Brandon Moss was 1 for 41 before tonight, and he's 2 for 2 with a walk. He scored 3 runs, and he hits his 26th double that ties the team lead And RBIs, 62 and 3. No doubt about this one, was it? Down and in. Got that uppercut swing, and he just loves it. Reyes could be a winner. Bowman and the bullpen, they do their job. He will be.
So 18 of the 24 home runs that Hamill's given up have come on the road. 2 in this game tonight. That pitch taken low. Moss a 2-run homer. Diaz a 2-run homer. The Cardinals a 2-run lead.
Of course, if your starting pitcher, Garcia in this case, doesn't go 5 innings, it's up to the official score who he would deem was the best pitcher. And you'd have to think with Reyes what he did. 4 1/3 innings, just 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, 6 walks, but they didn't score.
First home run for Brandon Moss since August 25th. He had just 2 hits in his last 43 at bats, and both were singles. The 2-2. High chopper. Can he beat it out? Hamill throws it away.
Diaz can run quick, gets down that line, and Hamill's threw maybe his best fastball to Rizzo, and he didn't get a glove on it. Not far. Watch this. Diaz went straight. He did not break towards second, so he's allowed to walk back. But I think Rizzo was worried about reaching in front of the runner, and that'll be it for Hamill.
So base hit for Diaz, on base 3 times tonight. Justin Grimm in our Chevy called to the pen as Hamill, the starter for the Cubs, has been knocked out. And Jeremy Hazelbaker will be the pinch hitter when we come back. Hazelbaker, Archaea in the driver's seat. Closer look at the Cubs pen. This coincides when they picked up Aroldis Chapman on the 25th of July. See the ERA, the whip, and the save percentage.
And he owns a 0.40 ERA, 1 earned run in his last 22 1/3 innings with 29 strikeouts. That's covering his last 27 appearances. So the hero from the Cardinals last night, a home run to break up the no-hitter. Do it again.
Hazelbaker takes a ball. In a little over 200 plate appearances this year. He's got 12 home runs as you get a look at Bowman. Last year, 459 plate appearances in the minor leagues and had a total of 13. And among the rookies in Cardinals history, only Chris Duncan had a better at-bat home run ratio, nearly 1 every 12, than Hazelbaker, who is 1 every 16.
Might give our comrade Jim Edmonds some credit, because he was working with the outfielders, told Hazelbaker, hey, start swinging the bat like a man. And all of a sudden we started seeing these home runs. He's got 4 Cardinal pinch hit home runs. And he's done a nice job as somebody who played 751 games in the minor leagues. First taste of the big leagues, and done a nice job, particularly early.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Hazelbaker. Breaking ball and a strike.
They got some good arms down that bullpen too, don't they?
Absolutely.
One thing that helps that bullpen is normally the starters go deep into games, so you're not having to account for a lot of innings. That keeps everybody fresh. Nobody's overworked. And they got a big guy at the end.
Check on Diaz. Ledmus with 4 stolen bases. That was ruled a hit. So it's another infield hit for Diaz as those numbers continue to pile up. And it's a swing and a miss, and Hazelbaker, the backswing, caught Contreras. The damage done in this inning off the bat of Brandon Moss. Moss now with 26 homers. 4-2 St. Louis. Shannon Sharp, head-to-head on the day's hottest sports events. It's Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Weekdays, 8:30, only on FS1. Brandon Moss, 2-run homer, 4-2 St. Louis. It's Soler, Zobrist, and Russell.
Matt Bowman, our Chevy Calder bullpen, will take over here. Rule 5 selection. Must stay on the roster all season long, and he has really done a number.
First pitch is popped back and foul.
I think at the beginning of the season he was probably the 25th man on your roster, but he's become one of the more reliable arms coming out of that bullpen for Mike Matheny. 52nd appearance.
Good sinking action. 26 home runs now for Moss. The most he's hit since a career high 30 with Oakland. That was in 2013. And with that home run moments ago, he's now homered in 3 straight against the Cubs and 5 of 8. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Soler, who is fly to center with the bases loaded, struck out and also walked.
Bowman has a very good sinker. A lot of movement on it.
Here's a 1-2. Struck him out. That's how we start the 7th inning.
Working both sides of the plate. Just a little movement on that one. A lot of times you'll see it just run in on the right-handed batters. So Reyes, 4 1/3 innings, just 1 hit allowed, 4 strikeouts. He walked 6, but kept the Cardinals in this long enough for Moss to hit the 2-run home run to give them the 4-2 lead.
Mets hold on. So they now currently, as we speak, a game in front of St. Louis. Cardinals hold on. They would be just a half game back. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Ben Zobrist. Good changeup, 1-1.
Yeah, down and away. Last year he was pitching in the Mets organization at AAA, led the PCL in losses, but the Cardinals like him in the bullpen. Ropers, maybe the best utility guy or guy that can play all over the field, a winner.
Round ball right side. Carpenter ranging, throwing, got him! Nicely done, Matt Carpenter.
We've seen Carpenter bounce around third, second base, first base. I think his best position is second. And here, good thing right there that, you know, Adams knew that, okay, he's going to range and get that ball. I got to get back to first base. Way out on the outfield grass, just spins and throws, and instinctively, you know, you have to know where that bag is because you didn't have time to look at it, and the throw was perfect.
So 2 outs, and here is Russell. Off the end of the bat, it rolls fair.
How about
Look
that?
at that. Started foul, rolls fair, Russell's out.
Oh, he can't believe it.
It doesn't happen often, but it happens here. Foul, fair, out, 4-2. 76. This Bud's for you. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Our score in the bottom of the 7th. The Cardinals a pair of 2-run homers. 4-2 St. Louis. Joe Smith is the new pitcher for Chicago. It's our Chevy call to the pen. Numbers on Smith this year. This will be his 49th appearance. This is also our Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. It's Carpenter, Grichuk, Piscotty. We're in the bottom of the 7th. The first pitch is tapped foul. Third pitcher used. Went from Hamill to Grimm. He struck out Hazelbaker, the pinch hitter, back in the bottom of the 6th. And now Smith. Carpenter with a fly ball out to right. Backing up a step or two, Hayward makes the catch, and there's one away.
That's Smith from the Angels.
And you'll notice with his delivery, kind of the funky motion that he has can be very tough on right-handers, as he'll drop down. And now it's Randall Grichuk, doubled inside the third base line back in the 1st. He was called out on strikes in the 3rd, struck out swinging in inning number 5. You say he really jumps at a right-handed batter.
And the way he releases it, looks like to a right-hander that the ball is released behind their back. And then they'll crossfire all the way to the outside part of the plate. Smith was activated from the DL on September 1st. Acquired by the Cubs from the Angels. For a minor league player. His career 41 and 28, 29 saves.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Grichuk. Outfield is deep. And it's a 1-out walk. Rocket Loans, Quicken Rocket. Hey, Rocket Arms. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. And there it is. Aroldis Chapman. Active relievers, most strikeouts per 9. A couple hard throwers on that graphic. Chapman and Craig Kimbrell. That is just foul.
Scotty way out in front. Talking to him about the upcoming San Francisco series. Relatively close to home. And he goes, I'm not looking forward to the ticket request.
Well, part of the deal.
That's when you turn that over to your family. Let you just concentrate on playing baseball. Normally has very good numbers out on the West Coast and particularly in San Francisco.
Better than making those ticket requests in Memphis.
No doubt.
1 ball, 1 strike on Stephen Piscotty.
Players no longer get free tickets. And it's now taxable income. Get tickets. That stopped a lot of the freebies.
Another check on Grichuk, who has 4 stolen bases this year.
Scotty leads the team with his 7 steals.
Outfield is deep, and a 1-1 pitch to Piscotty. And speaking of tickets, what a segue this is, huh? Hey, Cardinal fans, grab tickets, get the StubHub app. Not only will you find seats you'll love whenever you want, you can find the best seat for your buck when you sort by the best value. So get the StubHub app today.
If the Cubs win this game, you think StubHub's going to be going crazy? As Chicago fans trying to get tickets for tomorrow afternoon's game, with the possibility of clinching. The magic number is at 3, but if the Cardinals win this game, they can postpone that till later on.
Here's a 2-2. Piscotty, a rope into center field. One for 4 on the night, and the batter will be Adams.
Drops down to that submarine, and this ball coming right back at you. Solid base hit out there. Fazio making a slow walk out. Pitching coach Dr. Grimm with runners at first and second, just 1 out. Bring in the entire infield.
Technically, he has 15 seconds to have this conversation.
Because
when he got out there was 15 seconds.
Because it takes him so long to get out there. And it really doesn't bother him, does it? Tell you what, he's done a very good job with his pitching staff.
Crowd tonight 44,060. 44060.
For Tuesday night, right?
Runners at first and second. Now they do have 3 lefties in their pen. If they wanted to go that direction, then the Cardinals could counter with a right-hander off the bench. So Joe Madden sticks with this matchup. And that's a strike. Adams, a pair of strikeouts, and also flied out to left tonight. He is 0 for 3.
Felix Pena is warming up in the bullpen for the Cubbies. He's a right-hander. Big City could break it open right here, couldn't he?
Here's a 1-1. Throw behind the runner, and Piscotty is out. Contreras. What a throw there.
You talked about it, Danny, and see how far Rizzo is back there. He gets the secondary lead. Rizzo comes in, and the throw was just absolutely perfect. Throws it right into the sliding Piscotty, and he's nowhere near the bag. That cannot happen.
One and two, the count on Adams. Struck him out. So Piscotty picked off, and then Adams caught looking. Contreras shows off the arm. Move to the 8th. Second inning of work for Matt Bowman. And Jason Hayward will lead it off. He is 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. The Cubs have received 8 walks in this game.
Defensive change as Carpenter moves to first base and Colton Wong comes in to play second.
And the first pitch to Hayward. Ground ball that is foul. The 0-1. Now it's 0-2.
Zach Duke warming up for the Cardinals in case Bowman gets in any trouble. Felix Pena continues to throw in the Cubs bullpen.
It's Felix Pena. And the 0-2 to Hayward.
There's that pitch.
Hayward, a broken bat out to shallow center. And the catch is made by Randall Grichuk. First out here in the 8th.
Bowman's retired all 4 batters he's faced.
From the Cubs' perspective, not a lot of offense tonight. Only 4 hits, but the 8 walks. One of those walks came around to score on a double by Addison Russell in the second. One of the hits tonight, a solo home run off the bat of Fowler. And the Cubs tonight, they have stranded 10 in this game. 1 out, nobody on. A swing and a miss by Contreras. He's grounded to short. He is struck out. And he is walked back in the 4th. The Cardinals can hold on tonight. Alex Reyes, despite the fact that he walks 6 in under 5 innings, could get the win.
Now he didn't allow a run. Remember, he came in with 2 outs and bases loaded. Got a big strikeout there. As you said, he had 6 walks, 4 strikeouts during his 4 and a third innings of work. Just 1 hit allowed.
You know, the question going forward now would be, is Reyes better off in the rotation instead of the bullpen? You're back to that question again. Is Bowman underhands what would maybe help alleviate any pressure that you feel by having Alex Reyes in the bullpen, is that you do have Rosenthal and Walker potentially going to the pen.
Yeah, and I think that would be the big deciding factor, because Mike Matheny has lost some confidence in some of the guys down there. Who bridges the gap from the starter to, say, Segrist in the 8th inning, O in the 9th inning. And if those guys can get back there, Rosenthal and Walker can provide those innings, maybe you do see Reyes back in the rotation.
Here's Tommy La Stella, and he looks at a strike. La Stella, the pinch hitter. 2 outs, nobody on here in the top of the 8th. A change up and a check swing did not go. Joe West with that just emphatic call down at third. Back-to-back changeups, it looks like, to La Stella. And it was.
much confidence as Bowman had this year. Fastball in. After a couple changeups. Slider. Now he agreed with the slider, backdoor.
The 2-2. Left it up.
And over the middle of the plate. When we say backdoor, you're just trying to throw that outside, and then hitter gives up on it, and then it breaks to the outside part of the plate, freezing the hitter. Didn't want the fastball in, didn't want the changeup. Fastball away.
Ground ball hit to the right side. Colton Wong flips to Carpenter for the out. Very nice job by Matt Bowman with 2 scoreless innings. Midway through 8. 4-2 St. Louis. Cubs go with their right-hander, Felix Pena. This will be his 7th appearance. He's been roughed up a bit. Does have 8 strikeouts to a couple of walks.
He was a non-roster invitee to spring training. Spent all last year at AA. And this year he was called up on August 19th from AAA Iowa to make his major league debut. At Iowa, he struck out 81 batters, walked only 23, and 63 in the 3rd innings. 3-4 with a 3.41 ERA in 36 games at Iowa. See if Yachty can't greet him brutally.
First pitch is a ground ball and a couple of hops to 3rd. Chris Bryant. 1 pitch, 1 out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Kevin Segrist is throwing in the Cardinals' pen, so that's probably why you saw Bowman go 2 innings. Normally it'd be Bowman for 1, then Segrist, then 0, but apparently Seung-Hwan Oh is unavailable.
And hopefully it'll just be this day and they'll come out ready tomorrow.
There's a grounder, and it is fair. Bryant off balance, and a stretch by Rizzo at first. Nice play on both ends.
Not that arm strength. Did the right thing there. You know, he didn't wait to see what the umpire ruled. Field it, sling it, and a good stretch.
So they move Bryant over to the second base position, really in shallow right. And here is Moss, who has a 2-run homer tonight, on base 3 times. Single to right back in the second, scored on the 2-run homer by Diaz to tie the game. And his 2-run homer put the Cardinals on top in inning number 6. The Cubs will have the top of the lineup looking ahead to the 9th. Moss gets underneath it. Hits it a mile high into right center, and Fowler makes the catch. So Kevin Segrist will come on when we come back and try to close out the Cubs. It's 4-2 St. Louis. Closer, at least for the moment. So Chevy called to the pen, and the Cubs have Fowler, Bryant, Rizzo, that trio, what they've done against the Cardinals lefty. So pretty good success for Kevin Segrist against these 3. Combined 156 against him in a game that was started by Jaime Garcia. Did not get out of the second. Reyes came in 4+ innings, wound up walking 6, and still has a chance at the win. It's happened 2 times this month in which a pitcher has walked 6 and picked up a win. One of those was Dan Straley against the Cardinals, the Cincinnati Reds starter. A strike to Fowler, solo home run, couple of walks, and he's also struck out. And the 0-1 pitch from Segrist. 0-2.
Segrist has always been much better against right-handed batters than lefties. And here you see the high pitch. Overall, batters are batting 195 against him. Righties
just missed on the inside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Last time we saw Kevin Segrist, he got ahead of Ryan Braun 0-2. Then it went to 3-2, and Braun connected with a home run in the 9th on Sunday. That was the difference in that game against Milwaukee.
And Dan, that's really the only blemish on his record is he's allowed 9 home runs this year. But here's the one right in the middle of the plate. Braun knew it, had plenty to spare, and lost his 3rd ball game.
Also had that walk-off hit by Votto, but outside of those 2, he's been really good.
Absolutely.
2-2 the count.
Breaking ball there.
That's something that he doesn't do all that much. A curveball to the right-handed batters.
Right, he perfected that to help him get lefties out, and he's done much better this year against left-handed batters. Always had the good fastball changeup for the right-handed. Fastball here.
Jammed him. Back to Segrist. Steps. Throws. 1 away. Power Stats presented by Kubota. As we take a look at the home run leaders, Chris Bryant on this list with 37. Atop the National League with Nolan Arenado, the tremendous 3rd baseman of the Rockies. Chris Carter with 33, and then 3 players that were tied with 30 at the start of play tonight.
Righties are just batting 178 against Kevin.
First pitch to Bryant. Off speed pitch taken for a ball high. He singled to left. He is fly to left, struck out and grounded out.
Times it seemed like he worked so hard on that curveball. He's lost the feel at times for the changeup. Throw another one here. Here's the curveball.
Way out in front. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Could have been disastrous tonight to see Garcia not get through 2.
Very good point. Reyes really saved him.
He certainly did.
Another curveball.
1-2 pitch. Bounced in the dirt. Evens it up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Rizzo is waiting on deck.
Here's the curveball again. Just overthrows it. You see Yachty was saying if you're going to throw it, I'd rather have you bounce it than hang it. Back to the changeup.
Off the end of the bat.
Good location with it. Mentioned with the starter not going 5 innings, it's up to the official scorer, but Bowman pitched very effectively, but Reyes is the one that saved him with his 4 1/3 innings, no runs. His 2nd big league win, and the Cardinals would assure that the Cubbies cannot celebrate while they're in St. Louis. Fastball in.
The 2-2.
Hit his spot, but he was a little bit inside.
Different times tonight that's been a strike. Instead it's a ball, and it's now 3-2, and a very important pitch. You do not want to bring Rizzo up representing the tying run.
Fastball.
3-2 pitch to Bryant. Struck him out. Two outs. And 1 out away from taking game 2 of this 3-game series.
Now he challenged him with a fastball. It's upstairs. Reyes has to like that. 1 more to go against Rizzo.
Much of this big crowd is still here. on their feet for both sides, Cubs and Cardinal fans. 2 outs, nobody on. Rizzo looks at ball 1. He is lined out, popped out in foul territory, walked and flied out to right. 0 for 3.
You're going to go in, you got to go way in. And he's on foul behind the count. They're going to fastball in.
Here's a 1-0 pitch by Segrist. Popped up. Playable for Yachty. Throws the mask. Cardinals win game 2. 4-2 the final. And it sets up the rubber game tomorrow here in St. Louis.
Well, the Cardinals now with this victory, they assure that the Cubs cannot celebrate tomorrow. And you see this wild card standings, just a half game behind New York. It's going to be a lot of fun the next couple weeks.
Budweiser player of the game. It's a 2-run homer by Moss and a 2-run shot by Aledmys Diaz in his return to the starting lineup. The Cardinals hold on for the 4-2 victory. Stay with us. Post-game show will come your way next. Scott Warman and the gang standing by. 4-2 the final tonight.